Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Leverton on Everything podcast. My name is Leverton, and this is Everything, a podcast where I review books, movies, television, whatever I want, basically. And today it's co starring my plant, which you can kind of see. It's a sunflower. It's a type of sunflower, but it's far in the back, so it's faded out. And my laundry is over there. It's hard to point on screen, but it's over there, which I was doing in other videos as well. Plus my creaky chair. Yeah, I'm talking today. I'm reviewing The Kid, which is the oldest movie, the oldest content that I've reviewed so far on the channel. It's from 1921 and stars basically Jackie Coogan and Charlie Chaplin. So the plot of the movie, it's a silent film, and I watched the Criterion edition, and it's public domain, so you should be able to find it where you can. And the movie is in the public domain as well, because the movie is over 100 years old. But when you're watching silent films, sometimes they do this very kind of stuttering thing. I don't know why that is. I think it's probably from the transfer from film to video and into digital. But the version that I watched was restored, so it actually looked like watching a modern movie, except that it was in black and white and silent. So that was definitely a more attractive version to watch. But the story of the film, the kid stars, I mean, it's about the relationship of the tramp character with this kid character. So the tramp, you probably don't know, and it's weird because the tramp was a legitimate Halloween costume when I was younger. People would do that. So I think what happened is my parents' generation probably grew up with the movie because it was being played still. My parents weren't alive in the 1920s, but their parents were. So their parents probably felt a bit of nostalgia for that movie and then kept it alive. Yeah, but the back to the point, I'm rambling a little bit. The tramp character is this guy who's not exactly homeless, but he's like really, really poor. He's played by Charlie Chaplin in makeup, and he has this Hitler mustache, but Hitler actually got the mustache from the tramp character and not the other way around because the tramp was first. And Charlie Chaplin and the tramp were, it was like the first huge superstar in Hollywood. And Charlie Chaplin was one of the first people to think about movies in a way that was not just shorts. Which is funny that that term came back on YouTube, but that's what it is basically, like TikToks and YouTube shorts. They are like these short contents. So movies used to be like that. You would go to the I don't even think that they had cinemas. They had like these things called Nickelodeons. You'd play a quarter, pay a quarter, and then it would play a little, 5 minute film. So he was one of the first people to think about like making a bigger movie like that. And The Kid is considered to be one of his masterpieces. So I promised what the I wanted to start with the plot, but I got distracted. But anyway, the plot of the movie is that there is this woman, and she is has this baby, and she is some kind of model, and the way that they do it is really quite really quite nice, because they show the dad of the baby, and he has a picture of the woman on his mantelpiece, and the picture falls into the fire, and he very slowly goes and takes he like he so what he does is he puts his hand out and he thinks about it and he's like, no. Because so it just shows you that if he actually cared about her, he would have wanted the picture. but he was some kind of artist or whatever. So she has this baby, and she has a problem because the dad doesn't want to be involved. So she has this plan to give the baby to a rich family. So she sees this car, which is parked in front of this big mansion, and she puts the baby in the car's back seat with a note because obviously the rich people would sit in the back and the chauffeur would be in the front. So she she leaves the baby, and then she sits on a park and she's thinking about what she's done, and she's like considering going back. In the meantime, the car has been stolen by car thieves, and they're driving away with the car, and then they realize that there's a baby in the back, and they look at each other like, what do we do with this baby? They read the note, and they're like, they don't drop, they put the baby on the ground gently, but they are going to abandon the baby. So they leave the baby, and then uh, through uh, some kind of, I don't know, fate, I guess, the tramp character comes along and sees the baby, and there's like a woman who thinks that the baby is his, and he's like, no, it's not his baby, and he's trying to, well, what he does is he sees uh, a woman with a baby carriage, and he sees the baby, and he thinks for some reason that the baby has dropped out of the baby carriage. So he picks up the baby, and he tries to put it in the baby carriage, and the woman is like, no, 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 no. And then there's like the police, and he has to pretend that it's his kid, not to be in trouble with the police. So yeah, he adopts the child, and the child grows up. Maybe not grows up. The child becomes around like 5, 6 years old, so they're together for 5 or 6 years. And the I gave this film about a 7 out of 10, and I think that there are some really great things about the film, and there are some things that don't hold up about the film. So let's talk about the great things about the film. The great things about the film are that there are still funny moments after 100 years, which is crazy because, humor doesn't translate over 10 years or 20 years, but like 100 years is really impressive. So yeah, there's that, and then there's the fact that it gives you a really good um, depiction of what it meant to be poor in 1921. And I think, like a lot of people, I grew up poorer than in a poor town, in a poor family, but the poverty that I experienced was nothing like the poverty that um, the tramp and the kid experience. So we had electricity, we had television, we had running water, we had all of those things, and there's just these like tiny moments that are passed off as comedy, but they show you how poor these characters are. There's one moment where the tramp is waking up from sleeping, and he's got his blankets, and the blankets are a robe as well because he doesn't have any other clothes. And there's another moment where they're making pancakes, and they're measuring the exact number of pancakes that each one has, and they're like making sure that it's equal. Um, and they finish their meal, and they take the tablecloth and they wipe their faces with the tablecloth because they actually don't have water. I know that some rude people would do that nowadays anyway, but they literally don't have anywhere to wash up because there's no bathroom in here. So there must be like a toilet outside, like an outhouse kind of situation, and they live in this apartment. So there's probably like one outhouse for 20 different apartments or more. So you can imagine it's not very hygienic. And then because of plot reasons, because the lady becomes a famous actress, and she gets back, she sees the kid, and she realizes that it's her kid through plot reasons as well. And so the lady gets back, and the police want to take the child to give it to her. The tramp doesn't really know this, so he's trying to fight to get the kid back, and you know he's really, really quite dedicated and a loyal dad. So you can see that there is this sort of connection between Jackie Coogan, the child actor, and Charlie Chaplin, the dad. Um, so yeah, so anyway, what I was saying is that there's this point where they get to, um, for plot reasons, uh, he has gotten the child back, but he got kicked out of his apartment, so they're living in, it's not even a hotel. It's like, it's not even a homeless shelter because they have to pay, but it's like a room where you pay money just to sleep in, and the room is just full of beds, and the lighting is not electric, it's gas. So you can imagine how horrible that place smelled. Like they don't have any showers, no hygiene is not a thing. I mean, it's not that they didn't want to be hygienic, it's just they didn't have any place. So a room of 100 men and full of that odor plus this gas light. So yeah, it's a very evocative depiction of poverty. So the things that and there's also this great, like one of the comedic scenes is really funny because um, the kid, the character of the kid, gets into a fight with another kid for whatever reason. And the other kid is bigger, and the kid is like really good at fighting, because they live this hard knock life on the streets, and he's fighting, and the tramp is like really egging him on, and then the the not the character kid, but the other one, the child that's getting beaten, his brother comes along, and basically his brother is this big tough guy with ridiculous muscles, and he comes to him and he says to the tramp, you know, if your son beats up my brother, I'm gonna beat up you. And then there's this great like physical comedy scene where the tramp is like pushing the kid down and like trying to make him lose the fight, and that's a great sequence there. It's full of manic energy. Yeah, but that's my creaky chair. What are some negative things about it? There's this weird scene where um, there's a weird scene where the tramp is sleeping and he's lost the kid and he's just sleeping outside. And he has this vision of heaven. I guess it was supposed to be funny as well because it's like everybody's in heaven and things start out fine, but then there's like this love triangle between the tramp and an angel and the angel's partner. So it gets really weird and also very strange and kind of icky is that Charlie Chaplin started dating the angel, and the angel was 12 or 13 at the time, and Charlie Chaplin obviously was an adult. I know it was a different time in 1921, but I think we can say that that's not acceptable. Especially, you're the most famous actor in the world. You can get somebody your own age, basically. Yeah, but Charlie Chaplin's personal life was notoriously bad, and then he got kind of blacklisted for being a communist later because he made an anti-Hitler movie. I mean, weird, weird. So that's weird saying that now. Like he made an anti-Hitler movie and he got blacklisted, but I think if you made an anti-Hitler movie now as well, there's also a possibility you would get blacklisted in Hollywood. Maybe not in Hollywood, but by certain members of American media, right? Um, yeah, so I didn't like the angel scene, and Charlie Chaplin's personal life is a bit weird. And the it is strange to watch a silent movie where you have music and there's like title cards, but it's clearly clear that they're saying something. They could be saying anything. They could be swearing. They could be talking about golf. You don't know. So yeah, I would say it's worth watching, but if you're not prepared for it, um, it it might be very, very boring. for you. But it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I have a lot of projects going on, but I think eventually I would like to go back and watch all of these like classic movies from the silent film era. Because I've watched a few. I watched Modern Times in college, and I also watched this one and probably a few other ones because I did this film appreciation course, which you see these courses in college and you think that looks easy, but it's not. Yeah, I had one which was the philosophy of art, and I thought that we were just gonna sit there and look at art and talk about the philosophy of art, but it was like literally about philosophers talking about art. So, not great. Anyway, I am rambling like I am wont to do, so if you like this video, please subscribe for more content like this. Leave a comment, and yeah, everything that you can do to support the channel is really appreciated on my end. So thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye bye.